I'm assuming my voice is not live. Is my voice live? You don't know if I'm live. That is amazing. Okay, well... Eggsy, this is your first pre-show, is it? Does it excite you deeply? You don't look very excited. I think you should try and make an effort to be a little bit more excited, because I find it difficult to perform to my best ability if you are not excited. Now, I don't know if any of you saw that. I will go through it again. We are in the tent for the pre-show of the show, which is the show before the show, which will begin in approximately 3 minutes. The reason for the pre-show, the show before the show, is so that you may know that you are going to watch the show in 3 minutes. You can subscribe by clicking on the bell, bing bing, on the feed, and that will then, whatever device you watch us on, will vibrate loudly and possibly pop when we are live, which will be helpful, I think. Good. Now, let's just take a little walk outside. It's about 71 degrees Fahrenheit out here, 20 degrees Celsius. It's actually quite although ominous sky, it's very attractive indeed. Eggsy is on camera. Eggsy is on camera for the first time since his return from leave. And he's got that very disturbing tattoo on his arm, of course. He looks like he was in prison. Right, what else can we do? You know, normally Eggsy, Brian, and I would sing. Would you like to sing?
I can't sing.
Are you sure you can't sing? You know, most people say they can't sing, but it's just because they don't try to sing very much.
I can't sing.
Oh, we've still got 2 minutes, so maybe we should do some mouth-warming exercises. Are you ready? We'll do them together. We're going to say Benedict Cumberbatch 4 times. Are you ready? Benedict Cumberbatch, Benedict Cumberbatch, Benedict Cumberbatch, Benedict Cumberbatch. That's very good. That was 4 times. Now we're going to say black leather jacket, yellow leather jacket. Black leather jacket, yellow leather jacket, black leather jacket, yellow leather jacket, black leather jacket, yellow leather jacket. No, that's really hopeless. I think your beard's getting in the way.
I think so too.
He's got a very impressive beard, which makes him look even more intimidating. You all watched Vikings, of course. He looks like Ragnar. And with that tattoo, of course, he's even more terrifying than the Viking king himself. Okay, and now we'll do a little bit of examination of the surrounds, so that when the show starts, after the pre-show to the show, we're able to decide what it is that we are going to find. There's some flowers over there, some leaves, some clouds, some birds, some sand, a bone. In fact, the place looks like a graveyard, which is distressing. We might have to clean that up at some stage. And then, of course, we should show you the fossicker-in-chief, who will play a completely anonymous role, but very important role in the show. That is Taylor, the fossicker-in-chief, and she has fossicked already.
Keep trying to woo.
Marvelous.
James.
Thank you for wooing me.
I will keep it this thing.
Doth smell gorgeous, like a very expensive male fragrance from a major brand fashion house. All right, everybody, we're going to see you just now after this black screen and a couple of cats, I think.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
We're in the middle of wildest Africa, next to the most impressive predator, the African lion. Join us for Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this, your live safari here on the western edges of the great Kruger National Park. My name is James Hendry. On camera today is, looks like Ragnar the Viking. I'll tell you about him a little bit later. We are now, of course, in the 8.5 million acre Kruger National Park. We're on the western fringes on a piece of land called Djuma. We'll be exploring Arathusa to the west and Cheetah Plains to the east, and it's about 10,000 acres that we'll be covering. This is my magnificent office. It is called The Tent, and in it we have a number of museum pieces and artifacts and various other feeds that we'll show you during the course of the afternoon. Out in the field, you've met Brent Leo Smith. He's with the lions already. Jamie is hopefully going to be looking for some leopards, which will be very exciting. And then we have Steph, bold as a baby's bottom, out on foot searching for the smaller things of the wild, the tracks, the birds, the insects, and perhaps an elephant or two on foot. Without further ado, let us head across to Jamie Patterson and find out how her search for Karula, the great queen, is progressing.
And a very good afternoon and welcome on another live safari journey here from the middle of Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have the pleasure of having VM on camera with me, and we have returned this afternoon to where Karula had left her two gorgeous 9-month-old cubs. And if you have just joined us, if you're new to the whole safari experience, Karula is a leopard. She is the female leopard. She's also known as the Queen of Djuma, a highly successful leopard in terms of raising cubs to adulthood, and somewhere Hosana and Shungile are hiding in this patch of vegetation. And we've stopped for the moment because sometimes the best way to find anything in the bush is to sit and listen and just take a moment to absorb the atmosphere. Now, we've actually had the pleasure of watching these two little cubs grow up from an age where we actually had them when they were very first born, when they were just a few hours old. And we've seen them develop from tiny little fluff balls to almost fully grown little miniature versions of their mother. So where are they? Let's go and see if we can find them. Oh, they were somewhere in this area, but of course on a cold, cloudy, somewhat rainy day, there's a very good chance that they have moved a little bit from their original position. Everybody hold on to your hats because we've got to go under some trees while we scrape through here and try and find these two leopards. It is not just Brent and myself driving around in the vehicles, but Steph is out and about on foot, which is one of the best ways to explore the bush.
Yes, hello and welcome to the bushwalk part of today's PM Safari. I am Steph Winterboer. On camera today is Dave, and quite rightly we are walking around over here. Now, some of you might be wanting to know, why would we possibly be wanting to walk around in one of Africa's largest wilderness areas? Well, quite simply, it's what I do for a living. I'm a wilderness trails guide, and what I love doing more than anything else is walking around in some of the last true wildernesses that we've got, not only in South Africa, but also in Africa. It's really special, a little bit different to what you're going to be experiencing with Brent and Jamie on the vehicles. And I'll tell you what, over the next couple of minutes, over the next couple of hours, I'm going to be showing you exactly why that is. Now, you can see through there, we've got a game path that's meandering through the bush over here, fairly thick. The nice thing is that animals also like to walk on these game paths, and what I'm hoping for this afternoon is some elephant. We haven't seen a lot of elephant on this particular reserve in a day or two now, and that's because the bush all over the place is really flushing this beautiful green. You can see from the clouds all over us now that our dry season has broken, the rains have come, and so animals are starting to disperse. And what I'm hoping to do is find you some of these pachyderms that we have over here. There's roughly about 20,000 of them in these 8.5 million acres, and we're going to be sticking to these thick bush areas where I'm hoping that we will find some for you. But without further ado, we're going to be sending you over to Brent with some lion.
Look at that. little cubs frolicking on a lovely cool afternoon. Isn't that just wonderful? My name is Brent Leo Smith. I've got my good friend Brian Joubert and his thumb. And of course, together, when Brian and Brent are out in the African bush, we're known as the Killer Bees. And we've found some lions to start off this sunset safari. Isn't this absolutely stunning? We've got, in total, around 4 lionesses and 7 cubs here and 1 big male. There we go. And the cubs seem to be getting quite frisky. Now, the incredible thing about being live in the middle of the African bush is we're also able to take questions from you, and you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. If you want to know anything about lions or any of the other wonders of Africa, pop us a message. Now, I'm hoping that these lions, who've been in this area for about 2 days now, are going to get mobile soon. So when I say mobile, I mean they're going to get on the move. They're looking a bit peckish, a bit hungry. It's a nice cool afternoon, so they might go out hunting before dark. And wouldn't that be exciting? Well, there we go. That little guy is hunting the bark of, what tree is that? A little bush willow tree. Now, as a lion cub, all sorts of things are toys, whether it be bark or dung, or each other, or mom's tail, or even sometimes dad. So, they are very, very sweet and cute. And these guys are between 5 and 6 months old. Look at that, he's managed to get himself a little bit of branch. Oh, look at that, you can see the claws coming out even on that little guy, and you can see what ferocious weapons those are going to be as he gets older. There we go, look at that. Now, you definitely don't want to be hooked by those claws. There's lots of nasty things underneath there, rotting meat, some vile bacteria. And if you ever do get scratched by lions, it's almost guaranteed to become infected. Now, of course, I said there are 7 cubs here. And we had a very, very sad incident, and we found on yesterday's sunrise safari, we heard calling, and we followed a lion and a lioness down into a riverbed that's about a mile from us here, and we heard a very strange and strangled call, and there's a little lion cub there that had been injured, and its back was broken. And could have happened by lots of different things, but it is natural. It's not from any intervention from humans. It's most definitely from another wild animal, whether it be a hippo or even this male lion who's right next to me here. So I know James went to check. Unfortunately, that cub was still alive, even though it wasn't able to move. But I have heard, I haven't been there yet today, but I have heard it seems that cub mercifully has passed on. So very sad, but it is nature, and lion cubs generally have about a 70% mortality. Now, due to the drought, these cubs have done exceptionally well, and the females have managed to get 7 of them to around that 6-month period. And if they can get them to a year, it's very, very likely that most of the little females will definitely survive, and a very good chance for the males as well. Now, I'm just going to try edge forward a little bit, see if we can see the ones that are playing with mom. Okay, but we're going to sit here. As I said, I hope these lions are going to get up and out and on the move in not too long. And who knows, maybe they'll decide to meet Ronald. And speaking of Ronald and James, let's go see what he's up to at the waterhole.
Now, if you have not met Ronald the Rover, everybody, today is your lucky day. In my tent here, I have many friends. Eggsy's sort of one of them, I suppose. Ragnar the cameraman. Let's head across to Ronald's feed. We'll have a look at his view. Now, that doesn't look like much, I suppose, but observe. Ronald is in fact a robot, and I'm driving him with a little joystick, and he's now approaching a herd of nyala. They are just behind here. And our point behind Ronald is to kind of have an interaction with the animals that is different from our interaction in the vehicles, simply because we're hoping that the Ronald will be sort of mistaken for some kind of inanimate object, which of course he is. And therefore the animals will just sort of behave naturally around him. Now we're going to try and get a little bit closer as time goes on. That brown thing in the distance is a nyala. In the meantime, you can come and have a look here. I have a competition for you. Now remember, Brent said we are live. We are live out in the bush on foot and in 2 vehicles and indeed here in the tent. So please talk to us, #SafariLive, and we have got a little competition for you. Over here I have a microscope, everybody, and underneath it is something that I don't think you will be able to identify. Now, if you can identify it, please send through a tweet, #SafariLive. Tell me what you think that is, and then all will be revealed a little bit later. #SafariLive, tell us what you think that is. Now, let's carry on with Ronald a little bit, and while we drive him, you see I don't even have to look while I drive him. He's not a very fast fellow at all. Oh, he's got stuck. But we can actually... Oh, he's actually not moving at all. Never mind, there is a nyala. We can see a nyala there. That is Ronald's new friend, everybody. A nyala, and looks like a little calf there. 2 calves. That's interesting. That is fantastic. I'm just going to quickly change something. Just watch those nyala. That is marvelous stuff. I'm just going to quickly see if I can't get Ronald to start moving again. No, I'm afraid Ronald has got a small glitch. We shall speak to the Russian and see if he can't sort that out in the meantime. Steph is out on foot, as you say, and he's got 11-sized feet. Let's find out what they've just stomped upon.
Now, we are in search of some elephant along this thickly bushed river that we've got just off to our left-hand side over here. And in the distance, I can hear some crashing and some crackling, and I'm holding thumbs that it'll be for some elephant that we've got down here. What we're going to try and do in this... Oh, look here. There's some urine. Right. This is quite fresh. Now to try and determine whether or not this is from an elephant. No, this is from a giraffe. So this urine puddle that we've got over here, this wet patch of sand that you can see here, is from a giraffe. I know that because of the tracks in the sand that his hooves have left. Giraffe have a hoof very similar to how a cow has a hoof, just a little bit longer and a little bit bigger, probably about this big in total. And here we can see it right here. This is a giraffe's hoof. And from here, he's walked off in this direction. And I actually think that's probably what's making that crashing noise, which is good. It's less dangerous than an elephant is, to be quite honest with you, but equally as impressive. We're going to try and see here. I'm going to try and see if we can track him. Here he goes. Yeah, I can see this distinctive track that he's got. You can see how big it is from there to there. Really big foot. All right. Hot on the trail of a giraffe. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't anything else dangerous here. Where we are right now is a brilliant place for elephant, for lion, for leopard, rhinoceros, hippopotamus. All of the dangerous animals in Africa also occur here. And when we're walking through the bush, we always try and walk with the wind in our faces and taking your time, being nice and quiet, just looking and listening, basically. I'd say probably out of all the tools I have in my arsenal, the ones I use the most are these ears of mine. Luckily, I was blessed with fairly big ears, and so they're a sense that does me some justice. That noise that you heard there was just David's camera antennae. We are coming to you live all the way from the middle of the Kruger Park. And that means that what we're looking at, you're looking at pretty much at the same time. Let's climb up this termite mound and see if we can't see the giraffe's head poking up out of the top here. Now remember, this is also an interactive safari, not just live, and so you can actually send me some questions. you can use the Twitter handle, the hashtag SafariLive, and ask me about what we're doing, comment on the scenery, anything you like really. Okay, the noise that I was hearing was coming from just here. Now giraffe don't like thickly bushed areas like this. The reason being is because if they were to be chased through this bush by some lion, branches could quite easily trip them and they could fall. Now talking about lions, Brent is still with those lions. Why don't you go and have a look at what they're up to?
Well, the 3 cubs have moved and have started feeding. They're suckling on one of the adult lionesses. Now, it might not be their mother. Lions practice allo suckling, and there's 3 different lionesses that have cubs. So all of them should still be producing milk, but they're getting right to the end of that period at the moment. Ooh, listen to that. I'm just going to keep quiet. No, those are little growls. And they could get a lot more fierce, as I said. There's probably not too much milk left. You can see how their ears are completely flat. Well, that's a sign of aggression in lions, and it's often seen when lions are feeding in close proximity to each other. Isn't that so funny? Oh, those are 3 of the slightly older cubs. So probably closer to 6 months. I almost start expecting them to burst into a real growling match soon. Now, the lionesses are quite hungry, so there's not that much milk. Now this is where, if he tries to force, or she tries to force her way in, I'm just going to keep quiet. There could be some... So far the growls aren't too big. Oh, there we go. They are very sweet noises, and they can escalate quite quickly. Remember, this is 100% live. You are seeing this at the same time we are. Little lions suckling on one of the adult females. Now, I had a Monty in Virginia. Monty is wondering, when will the young males start showing a mane? Well, you'll start seeing a bit of fluff build, Monty, from just over 6 months, 7 months, and not really a mane as such, but just a bit of fluff more than anything else. Look at that, really trying to sneak in there. Oh, these noises are just wonderful. I just, isn't this incredible? We're 100% live out here in the middle of Africa, and you get to join us on the world's largest safari vehicle. And we are going to be going off to a quick break, but these lions could get on the move. They might start roaring, they might start hunting, so you never know what's going to happen out here in the African bush, and that's what's wonderful about live. So, look, see exactly what I'm saying, and be sure to join us after the break to see what the Nkahumas get up to next. So here we go. As you know, we are practicing. And Brian, and since it is an advert break, what are we selling today? We are selling Are we still selling beard products? No, we're selling razors. Today we are selling razors. As you can see, the green ninja, woodland ninja thumb has had a shave. It didn't get eaten by the beard as we feared yesterday. So the woodland ninja has freshened up. Maybe I should do the same tonight. There we go. Wonderful Inkahumas. They do give us so much joy, these lions, and I do know it's really, really difficult when one of the cubs dies, but it is part of nature maintaining its balance. So now we're sitting here with let's jump across to Steph, who's got an animal that definitely likes to avoid lions.
We've managed to track and find that giraffe that is obviously the owner of the footprints that we were following, but also the cause of the sound that we were hearing. That is a gorgeous giraffe. Just have a look at that beautiful setting. He has seen us from ages ago. It's a male giraffe, and I can tell that from the hairless tops to those horns on top of his head. Let's go a little bit forward and see if we can keep with him and see what he's up to today. Now, he's got spooked by us a little bit. I think because we were moving in such thick bush, he ran off, and that's what we were hearing. That noise was him running through the bush and creating a disturbance. I think it was just a bit of a worry. You know, we have got a backpack on with a great big aerial on the back, and I think he was just wondering what type of animal is this coming through the bush at him. Generally speaking though, most animals have an instinctive fear of people on foot. I think it's just the millennia that humans have been utilizing these animals as a food source. They pretty much feel, I reckon they pretty much feel the same towards us as what we feel towards lions. He's there. You can see him just walking down there. He didn't actually move too far away from us at all. There he's busy watching us, turning around watching us. Do you know that we could fit directly underneath his belly? I could stand and walk underneath his belly without even brushing the top of my head. That's how big he is. Absolute giant. I'm fairly certain if we keep in the open, he will allow us to approach a little bit closer. Well, that's what I'm hoping for. Generally, these giraffes, they don't enjoy when you sneak up on them. But if you stay in the open, oh, hang on, he's now keeping us at a distance. Let's see what he's going to do. We obviously don't want to spook him. That's the last thing that we want to do. We want to get a bit closer so that I can show you him a bit closer. We don't want to keep on pushing him and pushing him. What we'll do is we'll just try and skirt the edge of this comfort zone that he's in at the moment. So as you see, what we do is we walk forward and then he moves a little bit. We walk forward and he moves a little bit. And that's the distance that he wants us to be kept. There he is over there. I think if we stand here, we're probably going to get about the best view that we can of him. Now, in a little bit, we are going to be joined by our TV audience again. And then I am just going to go over the fact that we've found him while they've been away in an advertisement break. So I beg your patience, just a little bit of it, and then we'll go into some more facts about giraffe. I can see a big scar on his neck there. And that's usually from mange. It's a scar from a mange infliction or from fighting. Just shows you can get better. All right. We're going to welcome the TV audience just in a little bit. All right, welcome back from your break. And in the meantime, we have managed to find that giraffe who we heard crashing through the bush in front of us and whose footprints we managed to see. That is as big as a male giraffe gets, and we are going to try and get a little bit closer. I want to see exactly where he's moving, what he's doing, and we should be able to do it if we stay in the open. Giraffes don't enjoy it when basically we sneak up on them. So as long as we stay in the open, we should be okay. And I think this is going to give us our most direct approach. Let's see, if you come this side of this bush with me, you can see that he's busy watching us over there. They're very alert. absolutely aware of what's going on out here. I know he's a male giraffe because the tops of his horns haven't got any hair on, and that side profile gives it away. Absolute giant here in the bush. Easily the tallest land mammal that exists at the moment. Okay, we'll go and fetch him now. Now, what he should do is he should be moving away from us, keeping us on the edge of this zone that he's comfortable with. So it'll be basically like someone sitting next to you in the bus. You'll move over a little bit, and that space is the space that you quite enjoy. Now, animals all have that space, from elephant right through to lion, even leopard, even some insects have that sort of personal space. What we're going to try and do here is establish what that is. All right, there he is. We're going to watch him going away from us now. Looks like he slipped there on the road. Just such a magnificent animal. Alrighty, and while he stops and looks at us, James wants to show you something in his tent.
It is not my eye that I wish to show you, it is the length of this giraffe's leg. Now, I am not a large man. I am exactly 5 feet and 8 inches tall if I stand up dead straight. This is the bottom half, or it's a full giraffe leg, obviously, but it doesn't have the hoof, which means it would probably be about that tall if it had a hoof, which it doesn't. And so it just gives you an idea of the size of a giraffe. It's probably from a big bull like that one there. And so if this is up to sort of, this is basically the elbow joint or the heel joint there. Isn't that astounding? So you'd have a humerus that went up to about here. That's the same as your upper arm. And then further to that, of course, you'd have that huge, huge neck. So you can appreciate the size. Probably about 4.5 meters tall, that is. About 14 feet tall, a big bull giraffe. So I think that's rather amazing. Watch out, Iggy. Well done. Now, we had some answers to my little quiz, my almost impossible quiz. Susie, Tasha, and Opie, you thought it was a baboon spider. Oh, no, it was not indeed. Alex, you thought it was a caterpillar, I think. And Steve, you thought it was a bird. Other way around, sorry. Steve, you thought it was a bird, and Alex, you thought it was a caterpillar. Now, I don't know if this means anything, but the only person to get it right has the Twitter handle 1 stoner and 2 cats. It is indeed a moth. Well done, 1 stoner and 2 cats. I'm not sure if your lifestyle's got anything to do with your vast wilderness knowledge, but there it is. It is an impressive hawk moth. And the hawk moth, despite its fearsome appearance and despite its fearsome name, is actually a devourer of nectar, flower nectar. And it's got a very long proboscis, which it uses to do that. This one has unfortunately broken off. Good. Now, one more thing under the microscope I quickly want to show you. If you look over here, that, everybody, of course, is everyone's worst nightmare, or many people's worst nightmare. It is a spider. And the spider is resting. We can't identify it. We're not sure what it is exactly. So if you have any idea, you can tell us. #SafariLIVE. The spider is very much alive. It's resting because it's cold. And what I'm going to do is just shift it a little bit there. You can see it's moving. And show you the finery of its amazingly delicate little web. And you'll find that this spider is probably more a hunter than it is a catcher with an orb web. So in fact, much like those lions that you've just seen, it will get up and it will go and look for things, and it will kind of jump onto them and grab them, as opposed to many of the spiders, of course, which make orb webs that things fly into. They catch them, they wrap them up, and then they dig their fangs into them and drink their insides out. On that terrifying note, let's head out to something that is very unterrifying indeed. Indeed, quite the opposite. Jamie Patterson.
Well, I hope I could be terrifying if I ever needed to be, but as James said, relatively innocuous. Oh, when you last saw me, we were on the search for a leopard called Karula. And this is the joy of these live safaris, is of course we never know exactly how it is they're going to go. These animals live in a completely unfenced area of the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, which means they live completely wild and they come and go as they please. What I wanted to do, I wanted to show you a leopard track so that you could perhaps understand exactly what it is we're looking for. However, the soil is so hard after the rains that we've had that I just can't find a nice one to show you. So what I'm going to do instead is try and draw one, because hopefully I'll be able to make it a little bit clearer. Now, James has got his drawing board. Luckily, I have my easel, which is essentially all of the dirt roads that we drive along. Liam, can you see me here? You can sort of see. Perfect, thank you. Now let's see if we can, this isn't perhaps the best easel that we could have utilized. Let's see if I can't try and draw a slightly exaggerated leopard track. What's there, Liam? There's something behind me. Just double checking to see if there's not animals sneaking up behind me. Perhaps a Karula and her cubs. It wouldn't be the first time that Karula has surprised us all. She does have a tendency to do that. Right, so this is a leopard track, an exaggerated leopard track. So this is the biggest leopard in the world. They've got 3 lobes at the back of their foot and 4 toes. Now this leopard, if it were a real leopard, would be an absolute monster. This is a far larger leopard track than they actually are. Their tracks are a little bit smaller, but I can't draw that nice and clearly for you. So that is what we'd be looking for if leopards perhaps had cookie cutters for feet. But they don't. And as a result, tracking them can sometimes be, as Steph once described it, tracking a piece of tissue paper that's blown across the surface of the soil. So the question is, the mystery is, where has Karula gone? The mysterious creature, has she disappeared? Having spent a lot of time following Karula, we often joke about the fact that she's probably one of the hardest leopards, and leopards at the best of times are difficult creatures to track. We often joke about the fact that she is one of the most difficult leopards of all time to track. She tends to move in very odd ways and often sort of at 180 degrees of where she was originally moving, which means that trying to find her can be quite an exercise. However, the nice thing about being out here and tracking the Big Five is that often there's little things to look at along the way. And somewhere along this road a couple of days ago, I found a nest site of a lilac-breasted roller, which is one of the most beautiful birds that we get out here. Now I just have to try and find exactly which tree it was in. It was definitely on this road and somewhere around here. Now, for those of you watching, speaking about tracking and speaking about finding animals, perhaps you've had similar experiences in your area. One of the things that I've always wanted to do is to go to the States and to track a bear. Not just the States, but one of the countries where you do find a bear, or any of the species of bear. And I've heard that they can also be notoriously tricky to track. They don't necessarily leave tracks even when they walk, because they've got such big feet. Even in the softest of substrates, it tends to spread out underneath their weight. Aha, see? We might not find exactly what it is we're looking for, but sometimes we find other unexpected creatures. I thought I smelt this particular antelope. It is one of the few antelope species that we as human beings can pick up on the scent of very, very easily, and it is known as a waterbuck. Isn't she beautiful? You can see she's on alert. She's looking off at a noise off to the distance. That's obviously attracted her attention. What beautiful, fluffy animals waterbuck are, and I think that on days like today and yesterday, you must be extremely grateful for that fluffy fur coat of hers to help keep her warm. And the reason I said that she's smelly, I'm not being mean, it's just that waterbuck actually have a very, very distinctive, quite pungent scent that smells a little bit like oily goat, I suppose, is perhaps the best description. I always wish that we could do these live safaris with a scratch and sniff book, so that whenever we come across a scent that we're trying to describe to you, it could just tell you to turn to page 45 and scratch and sniff, and you'll get an idea of the waterbuck. Oily goat mixed with leather, I think, is perhaps the best way to describe it. And that's because they secrete oil to help waterproof their coats. Oh, we've spoken about the fact that it's not just about the big hairies and scaries, and one of the best people to tell you all about that is Stefan Winterboer.
No, I absolutely love the smaller things out here in the bush. One of my absolute favorite things are insects, and of all the insects out here, ants have to be one of my peculiar specials, I think, and in particular these ants. These ants are very, very special ants. They are called trap jaw ants.
About that, everybody, just outside, we're going to turn off here. There are some monkeys alarm calling going. Let's just take a brief walk out here while I tell you that Steph, of course, is completely live, and there are technical difficulties with broadcasting from the middle of the African bush. Now, monkeys, of course, will sit in the tops of trees and they will alarm call at leopards. Now, Jamie's not too far from here, and I wonder if one of those monkeys hadn't spotted a leopard somewhere around here. They've stopped calling now. Exciting, nice prospect, of course. And let me have a... We've been chatting about leopards, of course, for much of this drive. And what we'll show you here, if you have a look nicely here, is the skull of a leopard. Now, this is roughly the same size as Karula the leopard. This was a female of probably, I'm going to guess here, but I'm going to say probably about a 10-year-old female leopard. Not old, but certainly not in the prime of her years. And I know that because her teeth are a little bit blunted. You can see that there. They're not quite as sharp as they might have been. And they also are a little bit cracked, which indicates to me that she ate a lot of chocolates during her life. Not true. I think that probably comes from wear and tear. They eat quite a lot of bone as well. Now, interestingly, I think, if you look at the brain case, now I've heard people say that leopards have the intelligence of dolphins. It's very anecdotal, and I'm really not sure that it's true. But if you look at the comparison of the leopard's brain with the wild dog's brain, the wild, I think, slightly larger in the back. Now, that means that it has a different part of its brain that operates in a more successful fashion. So, of course, we know that the human being is differentiated. Our brains are differentiated from many other mammals by the fact that we have a very large frontal lobe that helps us with language predominantly. These ones, I don't know what's at the back. I think there's the visual cortex is at the back, which helps them to see and to hear properly as well. And so these things have different senses. They use different senses. Now, I'm just going to take you quickly outside. Come here with me, Eggsy. Come on, man. Come on. And what I'll show you is that the monkeys are starting to call up there again and driving just past us over there. He's coming up. Now is Brent Leo Smith. Let's head straight across to him and find out if he has seen a leopard.
A potential predator. Could be a lioness who's missing. And what we're hearing is this. And basically, in monkey language, he's going, leopard, 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 or lion, 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 leopard, leopard, lion, lion. So I'm really hoping we have some luck. So hold on as we zoom through here. Now, if we stop here quickly, there's a lot of potential prey. Oh my goodness, there's stuff everywhere. And there's lots of impala antelope, a leopard's favorite food. And I'm just going to switch off and listen, but and I hope I hear the monkeys again. Okay, I've heard the monkeys. Now we're about to go into a break, so don't go away. We might find something shortly. And I can hear the monkeys' alarm calling up here. Now I wonder if it's a leopard. I wonder if it's a lion. You're going to have to come back to join us and after the break to find out which. Seems a bit silly practicing an advert now. I think it could be Karula. Apparently Karula's tracks have come back north. The monkey sounded like it was over here. Okay, where are you monkeys that are alarm calling? Say, okay, let's switch off and listen again. Okay, so it sounds like the monkeys are actually right alarming in camp. So I'm just going to zoot around, see if we can see what. Important to keep your eyes peeled. We're looking for any little bit of movement. And as we know, Karula, the dominant female leopard in this area, she can be actually in the camp sometimes. She walks all around here. Now, what I really want to see is I want to see the monkey. Now, there's a few animals that definitely want to... Oh, there's squirrel alarm calling as well. And here's some animals that definitely want to avoid Karula, a female bushbuck and her baby. Okay, so we're right on the edge of camp. There's the monkey's alarm calling again. Sounds like they're right in Djuma camp itself. You see one? There we go. Brian's seen them. Now, doesn't look like he's complaining too much as he was earlier. So that leopard might have moved out of sight, or the lion. And he's eating acacia seed pods. Very nutrient rich. It's the monkey on the monkey at the back is the one who seems to be doing the alarm calling. Okay, let's see if we can spot him. See the one sitting? Yeah. Now, I just want to watch him a little bit. Not very... There were far more active alarm calls a little bit earlier, which makes me think they probably can't see whatever the threat was. Oh, wait, let's see. Come on. No. They've stopped alarm calling. But we're going to do a little meander around here while we make our way back towards the lions. You never know what we might find. Now, having spent a fair bit of time at Djuma, now I know Karula will often meander right round the edge of our camp and out towards Gallagher. Look what I found on the road. Oh dear, someone let him out of his cage. Send him back to his cage. Where is he? Is he running away from us? Do you think he's hiding from us, Brian? Where is he? Where's he gone? We saw him. He didn't think we saw him. Do you see him? Little further. Is he hiding? Yes, he's hiding. What are you doing out of your cage?
I want to swear it. I'm not going. Where were they looking?
This way. I'm just going to do a loop around Gallagher Pan now.
Okay. We'll keep an eye out here.
Yo, you might get lucky. She might pop out of the tent.
That's why I'm here.
Yes. Bye, Jamesy. Yes. Okay, so we're back. We haven't been successful in finding whatever those monkeys were alarm calling at, but we know they were looking in this direction. So James is not too far away down there in the tent. Now, if it is Karula, who's the dominant female leopard we get here, it's not uncommon. There's James's tent through the bush there. For her to actually utilize that area around the tent as one of her favorite hunting areas. Now, the last I heard, what'd you spot, Brian?
Nothing.
A leaf. Oh, good spot though. So we're going to just do a loop around to a little water hole here, and we are still going to go back to the lions, but we thought we'd definitely take the gander at trying to see. Thought I heard something again. Frank. Okay, bird alarm call as well. So we are heading in the right direction. So fingers crossed. Of course, this is live. We cannot actually script what happens, and the leopard might sneak away from us. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure last time Karula was seen, she was quite hungry, and she's got 2 young cubs to feed. So she's definitely on the hunt. And Anne is wondering, is Karula likely to climb a tree to hunt monkeys? Most definitely, Anne. Now, Karula, I've never seen her display that behavior, but we have seen her with a monkey kill before. But there are certain leopards that I've seen incredible footage of them leaping in the tops of trees after vervet monkeys. Now, fingers crossed, I'm really hoping somewhere in this little section here she's going to pop out. And you must always keep your eyes peeled. Remember, this is live. #SafariLive if you want to ask us any questions. And we've got lions in the bank. We know where they are. And we're trying to add a leopard to the tally for this evening. While we keep searching for hopefully a leopard, let's go see how Steph's faring on Shank's pony.
I think we found our elephants. Now I'm whispering because they're actually quite dangerous. But come with me. Okay, yes, we've got them. Trying to move quietly through the bush. Right. Let's show you what we can. Right there's a grey blob. You can just see the trunk. I'm hoping that elephant will come out of the drainage line, out of this thick bush, and give us a look at him. It sounds like there's just one there. Now, arguably, elephant are the most dangerous animals to approach on foot in the African bush. And what I don't want to do is get us into a position that makes that animal feel threatened by us. The perfect walk for me is where the animal remains unaware of our presence here. But I must tell you, the adrenaline that gets through you is just epic. To spend time on foot with the largest land mammal on the face of the planet right now is just such a special, special thing to do, especially considering that we're in the middle of the Kruger National Park, one of the last and one of the largest African wildernesses left. He's coming now into the river. See what he does. There he steps up. Let's see what he's going to do. Look at that. He's not the biggest elephant that I've ever seen. He's coming now to the other side of the tree. Isn't that just a really special thing? There's another elephant as well. I can hear branches cracking, so it's not just one elephant. There's definitely another. Now with elephant, the biggest thing to take into consideration is wind direction. Right. busy calling to one another. I just want to get a wind sock, basically, just to check that we're not going to get ourselves into trouble. This is basically just an ash bag. As you can see, the ash is blowing away from that animal. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer here. Now, elephants' eyesight is pointed towards the tip of their trunk. So even though we're moving here, the chance of him seeing us is quite small. Now he's about 50 yards or so away from us. Come across the side. He's now going to come into the open. Right. Alright. We're going to sit here and see what this elephant gets up to. James has got something a little bit, well, I suppose, an inside look into what we just seen.
Here's an inside look into an elephant, I suppose. This is not actually how the arrangement of bones would go, but I just think it's quite impressive. The first bone I'll show you is the one I'm holding on top. This one normally stands on its own. Not today. Right, this is the humerus of an elephant. Now, the humerus, everybody, is this part of your arm here. Now, you can see that mine is not very large, not as large as Stefan's, and certainly not as large as this elephant bull's. It probably weighs in the region of 40 pounds. I'd say it probably weighs, 40 pounds or so. It's pretty heavy. And it's an amazing design. You can see the muscles that would have gone in there, attached there, and all around here. And of course, an elephant doesn't carry anything really, it's a herbivore. It carries all of its weight on its front legs. And so this humerus has got to be very large. In fact, I think it is the densest and probably the most muscular attached bone that there is in an elephant's body. And over here, I nearly destroyed the tent there, is the femur. Now, this is the back end, so the femur at the back, well, obviously, there's only a femur on the back leg, and it's about, well, probably about 4 feet tall, not quite, just about 4 feet tall, but it's much lighter. It's not much lighter, but it is a bit lighter, but much longer and less dense than the front humerus there, because an elephant's backside tends to slope a little bit downward sometimes, and it doesn't carry the massive head and shoulders, of course, on as it does on the front legs. So that is 2 very large elephant bones. Now, before we head back, I just want to tell you, give you a little bit of an orientation as to where we are in relation to Brent, who's looking for the leopard. Now, the monkeys were basically calling from over there. Monkeys have exceptional eyesight. And so what Brent is doing is driving in a very wide arc, don't worry about my easel, and he's driving around like that and seeing if he can't pick up some tracks of Karula. She loves to walk through this area, down past the tent and over to the water. Okay, so that's the story there. When you come back to me, I've got a very strange thing to show you, but in the meantime, let's head across to Jamie, who's got a cow.
I'm sure you are all as intrigued as I am to find out what a strange thing it is that James wants to show you. But while he gets that all prepared, we have found something interesting all of our own. If you have just joined us, my name is Jamie, and I'm sitting with a herd of buffalo here live in the middle of the African bush. Now, a little bit earlier, I mentioned that we were trying to find the Queen of Djuma, Karula, the female leopard, and I've returned to the exact spot where she was, only to discover a potential reason for why she is no longer there, in the form of a herd of buffalo that have come munching through the area. Oh, hold on, we've got a latecomer before I move off. I was going to reverse to give you a better view, but we've got one straggler in the form of this buffalo cow. Now, to use one of James's favourite words, buffalo can be quite irascible, and they tend not to be particularly tolerant of the presence of predators. That's something that they share in common. with the elephants that you saw with Steph a little bit earlier on foot. Now let's try and get a bit closer to these, not a bit closer, but let's get a better view of these buffalo that I can explain to you exactly what I mean. Now, if these buffalo were to encounter Karula, there's a very good chance that they would have chased her away. Now, a buffalo herd is not a threat to a leopard. They could potentially be a threat to tiny cubs, but Karula's two 9-month-old cubs are relatively experienced in the way of the bush, and they would know exactly how to get out of the way of a herd of buffalo. But I have noticed, and I've sat with Karula many, many times in the past, she is a particularly alert leopard. And a couple of weeks ago, I saw her get up and disappear, and I couldn't understand what it was she was running away from, only for a troop of baboons to emerge 5 minutes later. So she'd obviously heard them coming long before I did, and it could well be the case that it was exactly the same thing with these buffalo. Now, if she had encountered them, she probably would have gone shooting up one of the nearest available trees and expected her cubs to do the same. She wouldn't have stuck around to make sure they were okay. Oh, see? Told you they were a little bit irascible every now and again, particularly with the lack of resources that they have at the moment. And Kathy, wonderful to have you on board. And Kathy has sent for a question which you all can do on #SafariLive on Twitter. Kathy, you say a cow, you would call these water buffalo. And yes, you are absolutely right, Kathy. These are not water buffalo. They are sort of a distant relative of the water buffalo known as the Cape buffalo. And they're essentially the South African equivalent of a bison or a water buffalo. But they're not cows. And contrary to popular belief, there is a misconception, particularly in South Africa, that perhaps domestic cattle were derived from these buffalo. They were not in any way. And in fact, these buffalo, many attempts have been made in the past in South African history to try and domesticate these buffalo and to try and to utilize them as a beast of burden, and it just doesn't really work. They don't have the temperament for it. The same goes for example, domesticating zebra. With wild animals, it doesn't always work. Oh, hold on. Sorry, we've got to go. We got to go. I've just got a report through our radio communication, which is the way that all of the different guides in this area link across to each other. And we are racing off. We're racing across to see an exciting animal that somebody has just called in on the Game Drive comms. Hold on, everybody. This could get to be a bumpy ride. There's another vehicle racing off in front of us. They've all heard the call. Hold on, everybody. Now, as far as I can tell, we're relatively close to these animals, so we're going to keep moving. I think they're just around the corner. We've just got to figure out... Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. They are just a few seconds away from where we are now. Sorry, everybody. I've just got to chat to the guide that has them. They are somewhere just through here. Just need to turn my volume up a little. Sorry, I've just got to listen to this just so we know exactly where to go. Okay. While we race across to them, and we are going to race, I do need to do some chattering on the Game Drive channel, which isn't going to be very exciting for you. So for now, I'm going to send you across to Brent and his lovely Nkahumas.
So all the cubs have moved around a little bit, and we're still here with the lions. It sounds like Jamie's on the trail of something really exciting. So fingers crossed she managed to get there. But we're still with the lions. They haven't moved much. You can see them all sleeping around. Remember, #SafariLive if you've got any questions for us. We're live out here in the African bush. Now, we're going to play a little game, and it's called 2 Truths and 1 Lie. Oh, but it sounds like we might have to wait a second. Oh no, sorry. There's lots of pandemonium going on in my ear. So what happens is we've got a game drive radio and we can communicate with all the other people. So I was just listening to what's going on there. Now, so 2 truths and 1 lie. The first of the comments is you can get a female lion that's got... Oh no, we're going to do this later. Get across to Jamie, to the most endangered animal we get you.
Here we go, we've got the amazing surprise that I had to race off for in mid-sentence. A pack of wild dog trotting down the road right towards us. One of Africa's rarest carnivores, and what a special treat this is. They're going to come right past the vehicle. The African wild dog, or the painted dog. Okay, and now we've got to move relatively quickly because these animals don't stick around for very long. They are nature's athletes. There they are. Which way are they going to go? This is so exciting. Thanks, Rex. They've stopped for the moment. They're sniffing around. Oh, for those of you that have just jumped on board, one of the things that we've started doing is to share a 1-word tweet about how these animals make us feel. So whenever you see wild dogs, what is the first emotion that comes to mind? Send through your 1-word tweet on #SafariLive. These wild dogs are truly one of the most exciting creatures that we have to see. They're constantly moving, constantly on the trot and on the hunt. And aren't they beautiful? Those splotches of paint, you can really see where the nickname a painted dog comes through. If you have just jumped on board with us and wondering what on earth is going on, you are on a live safari in the middle of the African bush, right up in the top northeastern corner of South Africa, in the greater Kruger National Park area, and we're sitting with a pack of wild dogs. Hold on, everybody, we've got to move a little bit. They're on the move, and they do move fast. Oh, we started off a little bit earlier, and by the way, my name is Jamie. I completely forgot about that little fact. My name is Jamie, and it is my pleasure to be able to take you on an exciting journey following these animals. It could get a little bit tricky, so everybody hold on to your hats. We've got some serious work to do. Now, they're moving straight in the direction of where we were looking for Karula earlier. They could even find her. Who knows? It wouldn't be the first time that we've had or Karula's had an encounter with wild dogs. It would be the second time. No, it would be the third time in 3 months that I have seen a Karula in some way interacting with these fantastic animals. And to see the interaction between the various predators is always an absolute pleasure. It's a fascinating thing to witness. Hold on, everybody. We've got to go around some big trees. We are going to try and stay with them. They're very, very difficult at times. Whoopsie. Hold on, Liam. And this is why we say wild dogs are so incredibly exciting. Now, they're rumored to be one of the animals with the highest hunting success rate, and that's because of their hunting strategy. Rather than trying to sneak forward and creep up on their prey in the same way lions and leopards do, these wild dogs actually constantly course through the bush, which is exactly what they're doing now. Where have they gone? Hold on. And keep an eye out for leopards up in the trees. Hold on. Okay. They're moving through some very dense vegetation off to my left, so we've got to go around. And Carisha, you say that your 1-word description of seeing wild dogs is exhilarating. Mauricia, you say that your 1-word description is exhilarating. Sorry, Mauricia, that's a regular name. I thought perhaps you were a new viewer, but Mauritia's been watching for as long as I've been working at Safari Live. You can just see the tips of their white tails ahead of me. Oh my goodness, hold on. This is why they are so exhilarating. There they just... See how fast they're going? So while we are racing off after them, as they disappear into the dense vegetation, white tails are flashing through the bush, I'm going to keep racing after them, try and get ahead of them. Let's go across to James in the tent so he can tell you a bit more about them.
They are so cool. They are definitely my favorite animal out here. Isn't that just the best thing? Good. Now, we'll definitely catch up with them again, and you'll have a closer look. This is the size of a wild dog's head. So roughly the size of, I reckon, about an Alsatian size, a German Shepherd or so. And that's it there. It's really rather terrifying teeth. You can see that it has there. Of course, rather like that is a baby crying in the background. Please don't worry about it. It is not under attack. Now, what some of the things that it is going to find in that bush, these are three of the things that it might try and eat. The first is the steenbok, smallest antelope that we get here. This one obviously long dead. The second would be a grey duiker over here, a little bit bigger, probably about 35 to 40 pounds or so. And then those chaps, I mean, there's only three of them, but they could take down an impala, of course, which a big male like this was probably around about 140 pounds when he died. But female and the youngsters, slightly lighter than that, between 100 and 120 pounds. And of course, if there is an impala lamb, they're just about to be born, then that will be ideal, and that'll be about steenbok sized. That's about 20 pounds. So those are the three major prey species that a wild dog would go for. And you can see, whoops, this one has lost a tooth. Never mind, we'll have to glue it back in there. You can see that although it's quite a big dog, they're very slight, obviously. They're not muscly in the same way that an Alsatian or a Ridgeback might be, but they're certainly more than capable of taking down animals of this size. About the same size head-wise as an impala, of course, but you will find that their bodies are much lighter, much leaner. Now, my one word for wild dogs, and is probably quite unoriginal, it's happy. They make me feel really happy, and I find them so happy-making because they're egalitarian. They love being around each other, they love feeding each other, they look after their old, they look after their sick, and I find out here, and in fact in our own species, those sorts of things are qualities that are very rare indeed, and that's why I quite like them a lot. Right, there we go. That is the wild dog, a very vast fellow indeed. Now, while Jamie does her best to find them, I'll show you something else. Let me just put this here. Sorry, Matt Attack, I missed your question. We're just going to have it again. I've become so excited. Oh, Matt Attack, you say, do wild dogs lose most of their kills because they make a lot of noise? It's a very, very good question. And the question, of course, is valid in an area where there are lots of hyenas, for example. Yes, they do make a lot of noise. They whoop and they squeal and they twitter. For those of you who don't know, they go... They're not really like that, but they sound like a pack of enraged birds when they catch something and they share the kills, and that does attract other predators, and it would in fact attract something like the animal that ate that. That would be a hyena, and they have much more powerful jaws than a wild dog has. Wild dog would never be able to do that to a bone. But because they eat so fast, Matt Attack, what you find is that they often feed and disappear before things like hyenas can come in. But I have seen many, many incidents where wild dogs and hyenas have fought over kills, and that's been when wild dogs have killed something, not finished it in time, made the noise like you said, and the hyenas have come in. Right, Jamie's still on the trail. Let's go and find out how she's doing.
Well, remember earlier where I stopped to have a look at a wild dog, or draw a leopard track? Well, here the wild dogs are. They've popped out right here. And this is the joy of our live safaris, is that we just never know which direction the afternoon is going to go in. And who would have thought that we'd be racing through the bush, trying desperately to keep up with a pack of wild dogs. Rex, I'm behind you. Sorry, everybody, we just have to all communicate between us to make sure we don't lose them, and they could actually disappear any moment now. They're going through a very, very dense area, and there are some places even we can't get our vehicles. Gail, your one-word tweet is energized, and that we certainly are. We are all thoroughly energized as we race after the wild dogs. And you can see there's some guests having an amazing time with their professional guides, taking them around, following the animals. Okay, let's go around and onto Elephant Skull Road. Hi, guys. Let's see if we can't catch up with them. Now, these wild dogs are running. I had my foot absolutely flat on the accelerator at one point. And we were talking about it earlier between us as guides, the fact that these dogs, you can be traveling at nearly 60 kilometers an hour, which is easily just over 30 miles per hour, and they're still out running us, which is why we have to be so energized whenever we follow them. Hold on, everybody. While we race off after them, some of the most incredible experiences we have had with African wild dog, and I know that James can attest to this, is on foot. Luca, you were wondering if there are any recorded cases of wild dogs attacking humans. Luca, I have never ever in all my time in the bush ever heard of an attack on a human being. They are an animal that has a natural sense of curiosity and playfulness and an exceptional intelligence, which means that sometimes, yes, they do go up and they look at human beings on foot, but no. There you got them. Well done, Wiem. Yes, I see them. Hold on. They are not a naturally aggressive creature. They're just very, very fast. There they go. They're going to go racing in front of us. I'm actually going to stick on the road for now. It'll give us a slightly easier passage to try and follow them. They're basically just cutting the corner. So hold on, things might get a little bumpy. The camera might bump all over the place, but that's half the joy of live. Now what they're doing at the moment is they're moving through the vegetation, and they are what I described earlier as coursing, which means that they're looking to flush things like small antelope, and as soon as they manage that, they chase their prey down and catch them. Now, wild dogs have this terrible reputation as being very vicious hunters, very cruel hunters. Oh my goodness, they no time to delay. They're almost at the next junction. But they're actually not. They're actually very efficient, very rapid killers in terms of the prey that they catch. And we just have to navigate around.
Now the lions have got up. How exciting was that? Wild dogs, it's my favorite animal. I'm a little bit jealous. And my one word for African wild dogs is exhilarating. Now, I know Jamie disappeared unexpectedly. We are live out in the middle of the African bush. Hopefully she'll be back shortly. But we've got lions that are starting to get on the move, and I'm hoping they're going to go hunting. Now, the rest of the pride has already gone down and through the riverbed, and now the last adult female and the last cubs are following. Now, the male will follow, but he'll generally take a bit more time. Here we go. I can hear the other lions calling to them on the other side of the river. Yeah, that oof, oof. Oh, quickly back across to Jamie. No, not back to Jamie. We're back with us. So let me just go a bit further forward. Let's have a look where those lions are going. There we go. You can see them. Some of them have already crossed the riverbed, and there could be some greeting ceremony. Let me go a bit further forward. Now, with social animals like lions, it's these moments as they start getting moving, where they greet, touch faces, they play. They're absolutely incredibly special moments that you are getting to witness live with us here in the middle of the African bush. Remember, #SafariLive if you've got any questions about any of the fantastic animals we have out here. So I want to stay and watch where they're going. And while we plan what to do next, let's go back to the most endangered canid in southern Africa with Jamie.
And as Brent described them, the most endangered canid, an African wild dog pack, and they finally stopped long enough for me to be able to tell you that it is 2 males and 1 female. Now, if my suspicions are correct, this is in fact a dispersal pack. In other words, a pack that has moved off on its own in search of new territories, new areas, and new mating opportunities, so away from a much larger pack. And as far as I know, this trio is from a pack known as the Lower Sabi Pack, which is a camp in the Kruger National Park, which means they've easily covered a distance of close to 70 to 100 kilometers from their original range that they would have been born into and that they would have moved around in. And they're essentially in the process of forming their new pack. So there's the female on the left, okay, now on the right, and the male on the left. And they're slowly but surely moving into some dense vegetation. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave them so that we can make space for other vehicles that have arrived and want to be able to share the sighting with as many, share it with as many guests as possible. So at this point, we're going to let them move off. We'll keep an ear on the Game Drive channel so that I can hear where they go, and we will catch up with them a little bit later, fingers crossed. They have moved into a very dense area, so we won't be able to follow them. I'm going to try, oh, there we go, I was going to say for one last view. We're going to hang around this area and hope that they do pop out and that we can have a chance to sit with them and to spend a little bit of time with them. Isn't that exciting? There is nothing like spending a little bit of time with wild dogs. Alright, I'm going to head back to where Karula was and see whether or not she's popped out with the chase of the wild dog. In the meantime, Brent hasn't had to go too far. He's still with those amazing lions.
Some of them are snoozing, some of them are walking. They're all around us at the moment. We are literally surrounded by lions on all fronts. So we've got a big male lion who's lying right next to me, and he's watching where the ladies are going. He's trying to decide whether he's going to get up and follow. There he is there. Hello, big boy. There's one cub that we just saw sleeping over there, and there's quite a lot of movement of the others all around us. There we go, he's watching them. Oh, look, there we go. There's some stretching starting to happen. Look at that. There's a little cub playing on the tree. Now, as we had to dash across to Jamie for the incredibly quick wild dogs. Oh, look at that. Cleaning its claws, just like your domestic house cat would do. Using a tambushi tree. Now, when you start seeing this type of behavior, it's a good precursor to movement in lions. Stretching, grooming. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to get moving immediately. Sometimes lions can take a while to wake up. Now, as I said, we had to dash across to Jamie. Now we can do the little game I want to play with everyone, which is called Two Truths and One Lie. Now, my first statement is, can you get, or you do get, let me rephrase, lionesses that develop manes like the male. My second is that you do get lions in India. India. I thought there were tigers in India, but are there lions as well? That is the question. And the third and final one is, let's look at him quickly, sorry. I will say it to you now, but wow, we've got a massive male lion on the move. Oh, stretch. And the third and final one is, you don't get maneless male lions. You don't get maneless male lions. So number one, you can have female lions with manes. Number two, lions occur in India. And number three, you don't get maneless male lions. There's those three, so find out which one's the true one, or which one's the lie, sorry. So two truths and a lie, so two of those statements are correct, and one is hogswaddle. Now, as I said, we're getting all these lovely signs of lions on the move shortly, so this is going to be quite exciting for the rest of the afternoon as we follow these lions. I think they're going to go out hunting. They're looking quite hungry, and who knows what they might find as they move away from this riverbed. Are they going to find a buffalo, or a giraffe, or a kudu, or an impala, and will they be successful? That we can only find out as we stick with them throughout the rest of this safari. Now, interestingly enough, lions only have about a 10 to 15% success rate. So we often see them chase. We don't often see them catch. Now, to see if these lions are going to up the odds, are they better than the other lions? Are they going to be successful? You're going to have to stick with us for the rest of the show to find out. Okay, now exciting times. The Nkahumas look like they're on the move. The male's gone off, another lioness has already crossed the drainage line, and these lions are definitely waking up. Looks like a second female is starting to follow. We saw 4 adult females when we arrived. Now it is a bit of a if they do head sort of to the west, northwest, it is a bit of a tricky area. Now we're going to have to try find a way to cross this river system. Did you hear that, Brian?
I did.
Was that? I think it was the lions down there, the male getting growled at. Just heard a bow. Where did you think it was coming from? Yeah. I think it was that male, the lioness telling the male, go away, stop irritating me. Oh yeah, she's calling to the last remaining cub, who's being very lazy this evening. He's having a snooze over there. I can hear her calling. So she wants to get all the cubs together. And they might stash them here, but she's just making sure they're all about before the lionesses go off hunting. Now, sometimes the cubs might be with them when they're on the move and they start hunting. Other times, they'll leave the cubs sleeping in a thicket while they go in search of a potential prey. Now there, I have counted 7 cubs. Now let's just have a look. One must remember that there is a possibility that this cub could also be injured, but it looks relatively okay. And see what happens. Now, normally that cub would have at least lifted its head, so it is possible that this cub isn't doing too well as well. She's sniffing its urine and phlegm and grimacing at the moment. I did have a report from Rexon that he said he saw one of the cubs looking a little bit ill and skinny. I wonder if that's that cub. Now, another lioness has just called to her, so she's left that cub. Here it is. We can hear all the little contact calls from the rest of the pride. They're definitely going to be on the move, so fingers crossed we can follow them as they hunt through the African bush. But let's go see what Commander Bond, James Henry, is up to in his office.
Well, that is a little bit distressing, isn't it? Anyway, we've got 30 seconds to get back to our TV audience, and so we'll sit and, well, I'll just sit here and kind of talk about bits and pieces. Of course, we have lost one of those cubs, and that's really very sad indeed, and that one doesn't look so good. And for a little while now, I've been watching them, and 2 or 3, I've said, look at their hips. Anyway, we'll see you just now. This is a fake black screen we're playing, by the way, in case you're wondering. Not black. Now there's a disclaimer. Welcome back, everybody, to your live safari. My name is James Hendry. You've been with Brent and the lions. Most excitingly, you've been with Jamie and wild dogs, the most wonderful animals. Steph is out on foot. He's lost a bit of signal, of course, but that's okay. He'll hopefully be back with us very shortly. Now, while we wait and see if Jamie can't see those wild dogs again, and Brent is, of course, knocking about still with those lions, I just wanted to tell you, of course, remember, we had a wonderful question about whether wild dogs are good on foot, whether you can view them on foot, whether they're dangerous to human beings. One of my very first experiences as a guide was when I was training. We were sent out to walk on foot on our own, unarmed, and I was armed with a sort of stick that I thought was going to protect me, a radio, and a first aid kit that had in it a safety pin, an elastoplast, and a condom. I'm not entirely sure what any of those things were going to do if a buffalo had attacked me, but that's what I was sent out with. And one of the first big game experiences I had was with wild dogs. I came across 20 of them, and they stopped and they looked at me, and I had no idea what these things were like. I'd seen them in books, I'd read about them, I didn't know if they were dangerous, and I froze, and I stared at them, and they stared back at me, and I thought, well, I've got to behave in a slightly aggressive fashion, or they're going to think I'm scared, which I was terrified, and I went, "Futsak!" And futsak, of course, is a word that you probably don't understand, but yet you do understand. You've never heard it before, but basically it's an Afrikaans word that means go away with great haste, please. And what they did was they dispersed, and I was left feeling bereft, that clearly they were of no threat to me, and I could have probably spent 20 minutes just standing there with them on foot, and it would have been wonderful. I've since had some wonderful experiences with wild dogs on foot. They are the best as far as I'm concerned. Now, just have a look over here. This is a mushroom, and it's popped up as a result of the rain, and you can see that it is rather special. And in those little folds were the spores of this microscope, of this mushroom, and the mushroom spores now, I suspect, have already dispersed, and they've gone off, and this mushroom will probably be eaten by something like a giant land snail, so that will be quite interesting indeed. Now, when we do go back to Brent, please be aware there is a lion that seems to be slightly injured. We're not sure if it's sick. I'm personally going down the road of disease, but Brent is still there with it. If you are a sensitive viewer, please hold yourself. Don't turn away. You do need to see this. This is nature. This is Africa. This is raw, as Brent will explain to you now.
Oh, so we're not with that cub that's looking a little bit sick. We're with two of the adult lionesses and the rest of the cubs. Now, the rest of these cubs are looking really healthy and well. So it's just the one who's lying up behind us now. And that female, it's so heart-wrenching. She comes up and tries to call at the cub. Now, these lions have had a really good run of it, and with this drought, they've been eating lots and lots of buffalo. Nature needs disease and injuries to lions to help balance the numbers. It's really difficult for us to deal with. Often, since we've watched these cubs since they were tiny little things, and we have to watch them suffer, and it is very difficult. But it's not our place to now start interfering. I mean, this is a perfect system. We're out in the bush. It's nature at its most magnificent, but also sometimes at the most heart-wrenching. It's raw. It's unscripted. It's unedited. It's life, and we're in Eden, and we don't want to start messing with Eden. As soon as people start playing with nature, oh, listen to that. Such a happy sound of little lion cubs. Even though I know I'm talking about something so sad, there's always a positive side to it. Listen to them talking. Okay, so it's time for the answers to two truths and one lie. So fact one, which is that you can get lionesses who have manes. 21% of you thought that was the lie. Fact two, which was there are lions in India. 22% of you thought that was the lie. And the lie was, of course, fact 3. And 55% of you were spot on. And that is that you don't get maneless male lions. You do, as you can get females with manes. You can get manes with females with I've loved myself. So as you can get females with manes, you can have males without. And well done to Christian and Paul, 2 of that 55% who got that spot on. Now, here we go. Where are these lions going to? So from what I can see, we've got 2 adult lionesses lying up here. So there were 4. One's missing. The third is down in the riverbed, but I can only see 3 of the adults. Have you got him? And the Authority, which is the name of that big male lion, the Birmingham boy, he's gone across to the other side of the river again, as he did yesterday, strangely enough. There we go. That's 2 adults there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6, no, 5 of the cubs, all in one little pile in that Timbuti thicket there. Okay, so as I said, lions don't always just get up and move. They've started the sort of greeting ceremonies that might lead to a bit of movement. But now, while we wait to see what happens next, let's go see how Steph's faring as he tromps around the African bush.
Yes, I am Steph, and for those of you who have just joined, we're on foot on the bushwalk part of this PM safari that we're on at the moment. And while Brent and Jamie have been showing you all those amazing things, we've been walking around here in this thick bush looking for an elephant that we were with just a few minutes ago. Now, some of you might be asking yourself, what are we doing walking around in the bush when all these dangerous animals are there? Well, it's exactly that. It's for us to show you a different aspect to the way that safaris are done. All over Africa, safaris are done in both vehicles and on foot, and it just adds a lovely dynamic. And I'm hoping that over the next couple of minutes I can show you exactly what that dynamic is. Now, there was an elephant at about that big tree there. We came out a little bit, elephant went through into this thick bush. We don't want to follow elephant into thick bush like this. They can get quite cantankerous when you give them a fright in close quarters. So we're just waiting for this elephant to move out on the other side of this thicket, and then hopefully we'll be able to show it to you again. Trick with elephant: always think about wind direction. Right now, no breeze, so to say. You can see that the leaves on these trees pretty much dead still. So it becomes very important to look where you're stepping, think about the noise that you're creating, and weave your way through the bush. And hopefully we'll be able to share a magic moment with Africa's largest land mammal, in fact the world's largest land mammal, with you, and share it with you while we're in the bush over here. Magic, can't wait. All right, we're going to go through here and see what's on the other side. Right, keeping our ears always peeled open. Now, we've just been asked a question: what happens if something charges me? Well, the trick with something charging you, I've got this massive fly that's flying around me. So, Gimp Band, you've just asked me a question: what happens if something charges me? It has happened before. It happens quite often when you overstep your boundaries and when you don't respect these animals. But basically, a charge from an animal is just them saying, listen, you're getting a little bit too close, leave me alone, create some distance. And as soon as you create some distance, it usually diffuses the situation. Every so often it doesn't, and you've got to stand your ground there. It's quite scary. You've got to stand your ground. If you need to, stop that animal charging by shouting at them. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, I've been doing this for 17 years or so, so 9 times out of 10, they stop, let you move away, you create some distance, and then it defuses the situation. So while it is absolutely a possibility that they do that, my hope is that we can move slowly through the bush, see him before he sees us, and join him without him even knowing that we're there. Come on. So he was moving through this thick stuff here. Let's see if he's come out on the other side. Gotta watch where we're walking. Can't see him here. At least not below us right here. Let's go through here. All right, can't see him, which is a good thing. It means that he's moved through this thick stuff. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through to the other side, see if we can pick him up. In the meantime, we're gonna send you over to Jamie, but don't go anywhere. Hopefully when you come back, we're gonna show you this elephant.
And what an exciting afternoon it has.
Rightio, everybody, don't worry, like I say, African bush and all that, giant clouds all over the sky, sending all sorts of charged ions down into the atmosphere. Goodness gracious, it's a wonder you can see me at all. Now, come and have a look over here. I've drawn a map. I am the world's greatest artist. That is Djuma, that is Arathusa to the west of us, as I mentioned at the very beginning. There's Cheetah Plains to the east. 10,000 acres in all that we use as our sort of traversing area. Now, I'm going to show you where everybody is. Brent is over here. That's him there. You can see he's got nice long hair. Beautiful. And a cap on his head. Beautiful. Then Jamie, Brent, of course, is with some lions. We'll just draw one lion there. We'll draw the male, I think. Don't you, Eggsy?
Yeah.
Yes, there's the male. Very nice. Okay. And then down on the southern boundary, going at a great speed, we'll draw her in her car. Something like that. We've got Jamie. There she is, and she's got long flowing locks, of course. And then there's VM sitting behind her like that. And he, of course, has a fairly orange beard. Very nice. Now, most importantly, of course, Jamie was looking for some wild dogs. Now, I've never really been able to draw wild dogs or any kind of dog, but they look something like that. There we go. Sorry, let's just give it some teeth quickly, shall we? There we are. Marvellous. That's a wild dog. And Steph is over here. That's him there. And of course, what we'll do, how we'll differentiate Steph, of course, is his enormous biceps. There we go. That's S for his name. I just needed to remind myself where to put him. So that's where everybody is at the moment. I apologise for that. I'm going to have to do some work on that. Right. Brent Leo Smith is with this very male lion. Let's go back to him and see how that male is faring as the clouds close in.
So he went off following one lioness who came out to the side of the riverbed. Now she's abandoned him and headed back towards her sister's aunt and so on, but we're going to stick with him. It is getting to that time of the day where we might be lucky enough to be treated to one of the most exhilarating, the most spine-chilling sounds in the African bush, and that is the roar of a dominant male lion. Fingers crossed. Of course, we are live, so you never know what's going to happen. And remember, any questions to the hashtag SafariLive. Now, he's half watching, half dozing. Now, the lions are definitely looking like they are keen to get moving shortly, and I'm hoping they take us on a little of adventure before the end of this safari. But we are going to be going into a break in the next minute or so, so don't forget to stick with us. We're going to keep looking at this beautiful lion. Now, he's watching one of the females, and now he's giving Brian a look. Brian, he's saying, what are you doing putting that camera on me? And there we go. So I'm really hoping they are hungry. They should get moving soon, and hopefully we're going to be able to follow them on a hunt in the not too distant future. So don't forget to stay tuned. Join us right after the break with the incredible Inkahumas. Now, once upon a time, the lions ate a buffalo that looked diseased. Oh, let's go on the move. And is it possible that they could have picked up a disease from the lion, from the buffalo? Sorry, I'm just going to. And it is possible. Unlikely. I mean, most of the lions here will probably test positive for bovine tuberculosis, or now feline tuberculosis, TB, which they've picked up. Oh, there's another male's just arrived. There could be a fight here. I'm just going to try to get us into the right spot. Now, if they're after, there we go. Oh no, it's going to be brotherly love till one of them gets too close to the ladies. There we go. I can't see which Birmingham. There we go. Just as I predicted, as soon as the one tried to get too close to the ladies, brotherly love turned into a brotherly smack. Look at this, he's chasing him. It's getting a bit closer. Listen to this. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to find a way to get back to where those males are. I don't think... Oh, the lionesses are running. There's actually going to be more of a fight. Hold on. I'm going to get through here, Brian. Look. Just put... They're fighting. The lionesses joined in beating up the male. Okay, we've got to get in there, guys. We've got to get in there. Hold on. That sound is incredible. Yeah, the cubs and the... Let me just get forward again a little bit. Wow. I'm shaking. That was incredible. Oh, I can't even drive. That was absolutely incredible. You saw the unbelievable power. And now we know why Mfumo is called the authority. And I didn't even get to see what other Birmingham boy that was. I don't know where he's gone. He's there. He's still here. might get some roaring. I'm speechless. Wow. Wow. As I said, you never know what happens out here in the African bush. While you were gone, another male lion arrived in here, and we just witnessed a massive fight. I mean, an absolutely massive fight. It was insane. The lionesses got in. There was just absolute... I'm speechless. I mean, look at this. And right next to us here, I'm just going to lean out the car. The lions are over there. But during that fight, the other male, who's somewhere around there, lost a bit of his mane. And now a lot of you probably been wondering, what is a male lion's mane for? Well, if you ever see anything like that, it's for protection. Now, don't worry, the lions are close, but I am safe. Look at that. Male lion mane that has been dislodged during the fight. Isn't that absolutely incredible? I'm just too speechless, but it seems like we're going to be lucky enough to show you exactly what transpired. So let's go across to James so he can do that.
That was quite something, I have to tell you. Now, I know some of you missed that. We're going to take a look at a clip and just have a look at how angry those lions and then the lionesses got. That was the most astonishing thing. Now, I think what's happened there, and Brent will either disagree or agree with me, but I think one of those females is in estrus. That, of course, means heat, and so there's a huge amount of competition between the brothers. Let's head straight back to Brent and find out what he thinks went on there.
How absolutely unbelievable is that? There is Mfumo, the authority, the victor. I didn't even get a chance to see what other Birmingham male it was. So there's a perfect example. Now the females and the cubs are like, well, we want to get out of here. Well, there's still some of them hanging about, but it's quite likely that they're going to move now. I can't see where the other Birmingham boy is. Oh, be careful, cubby. No. Very often there's a cub right there. After a fight like that, the lion's blood is up. There we go. The lioness is going to charge in. She almost looked like she was going to charge in to try to keep them away from the cubs. So when blood's up, they've just been in a fight. A cub trying to be affectionate or whatnot might just get in the wrong position, and that's possibly what could have happened to that injured cub. Unit. Oh no, but it looks like I'm just going to try and get a bit lower, get in there a bit more, and I also want to go see where the other male's got to, see if he picked up any new injuries. But that wasn't, how crazy was that? That was happening right in front of us. That was, you saw that massive power of a male lion, and now we've even got some souvenirs. It's not very nice smelling, and I'm now definitely going to have to disinfect my hands after picking that up because it's very, very smelly. There we go. Now, that incredible fight, Laura in New Mexico is wondering why they would fight if they're coalition members. Laura, more than likely there's a female who's in estrus or about to come into estrus that Mfumo, the authority, wants to mate with. So he will fight with his other coalition members for mating rights. The other time they will fight is over food. He keeps watching to see where that other male is. And it was amazing. As I said in the beginning, this could go two ways. I think most likely they're going to fight. And oh, careful, cubby. Okay, so it could go two ways. You see, they greeted each other friendly in the beginning. Then soon as that other male, I'm not sure who it was. Brian, did you get a view? I'm not sure which of the Birmingham was. Was it Tinyo? Was it Nena? Oh, was it Utsuku? I don't know. But all I know is Mfumo, the authority, is definitely aptly named. He asserted his authority in that situation. Now, what's interesting was the females. They were hitting them both. So they didn't want either of these male lions fighting this close to the cubs. And there we go, another perfect sign of the patience game playing off. We've waited it out with these lions, and boy, were we treated. Brian is very excited. I'm very excited. I've still got the shakes. It's been so long since I've seen a good male lion box. Managed to do myself some injuries getting there. I've got some new holes, new piercings. So I'm going to go try have a look where that other male who lost the fight went. Maybe do some doctoring of my poor injuries. But while we do that, it seems like Steph has got Africa's biggest animal on foot.
We've managed to catch up with this elephant again, and he's about 20 yards away from us. He's standing in that thicket. You can just see his tusk through the bush. He doesn't even know we're here. It's really, I can't describe the feeling. It's elation, it's a bit of adrenaline. It's exciting, it's like standing on the edge of a high dive board. He's going to come into the open now. We're just going to stand very still. He presents no danger to us right now. He's going to come right into the open there. And we're just going to stand still, not do anything. He's scratching himself. Here he comes. Okay, we just stand still. He's not more than 20 feet, 20 yards away from us. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely unaware of us being here right now. He'd be doing this whether we were here or not, sharing this with him. It's just such a magic feeling. To be unobserved. To share a moment, a close moment. Let that elephant move off. We're not going to follow him anymore. That was about as close as I enjoy being to elephants. And just the fact that that elephant didn't even know we were here. The wind was blowing straight into our faces. Couldn't have been better. Right out into the open, that young bull elephant. Just really cool. Now Dodge, you've asked me if elephants are usually alone. When they reach sexual maturity at around about 12 to 18 years old, bull elephant like that one separate themselves from the herd and they become nomadic. Quite often, young bull elephant like this will join older elephant, much older elephant that are past their prime, and they will basically live with one another for short periods of time, couple of years perhaps. But as soon as a bull elephant gets to about 35 years old, he becomes solitary, and he stays solitary for most of his life until he gets to about 50 years old. From 50 to 55 years old, they're not really in contention for the females anymore. And what happens then is they start to distance themselves from the herds and from the rat race of trying to impress the ladies, and they move to swampy grass areas. And there they end their days between 55 and 60 years old in the Kruger National Park. That young bull, because he's on his own, tells me that he's probably somewhere between 12 and 18. I would guess from his size and the size of his tusks that he's probably around about 15, 16 years old, if I had to guess. So not an old elephant, but definitely a mature elephant. Very, very, very nice sighting that on foot, and because he didn't even know we were there, it makes it even better. All right, Jamie has got some impala to show you.
Well, what an exciting afternoon it has been. From elephants on foot to a search for leopards, an unsuccessful search for leopards, lions, wild dogs, and now some of the most beautiful creatures that the African bush has to offer. Steph mentioned impala. We've also seen that there are nyala here as well with this entire herd. The male off to the left, or two males off to the left, and a female behind them. Oh, three males off to the left. And then a herd of impala moving about around them as well. Such beautiful antelope. Now, those of you who are regular viewers, you'll know, of course, we're eagerly anticipating the birth of the impala lambs, and what beautiful weather for them to be born into. Fresh rain drizzling down upon the ground, and that's why, of course, poor Wim has to every now and again give our camera lens a little bit of a wipe. He's basically fulfilling the function that your windscreen wipers do on your cars, keeping our screen clean and free of raindrops. But despite the hassle that it means for us, we are rejoicing in the fact that it is raining. Any amount of rain is an absolute gift to the thirsty earth and the thirsty animals, and it means that these pregnant impala will actually have food to feed themselves and support themselves and their new little ones that are due to be born any day now. And that's the really, truly exciting thing about these live safaris, is that we get to follow the day-to-day cycles of the bush, but also each and every single day and month and year. Look at these four boys, four Inyala bulls, all gathered together. If we're really lucky, we might even get to see them do the Inyala dance, which is something that they do when they try to establish dominance. Oh, there's a little scrap there. All of the animals are full of the joys of spring, and that is why it is such a pleasure to be out here. So unfortunately, I have run out of time to spend with you, but a big thank you to all of you for joining us and your wonderful questions, as well as to VM for his wonderful camera work. Until the next time I see you on the back of our safari vehicle, bye-bye everybody.
Listen to this. It's not sort of the calm after the storm. The other male's been chased off, but there's just high, what's the word I'm looking for? You could cut the tension. Thank you, Brian, with the knife. The lionesses are constantly growling at the male. They don't want an aggressive male around the cubs, but every time he gets a bit close, look at that. Look, you can see her growling. She's trying to keep the cubs away from the male. Now the cubs are all excited. They're like, oh, what was that? That was fun. Can we enjoy it? And you can see they're all quite revved up and calling and making noises. There we go. They're practicing for when they get big. But what an incredible sighting. Not something you get to see too often. Two monster male lions giving it a full go, as well as the lionesses getting involved, trying to push both of those males. Careful, cubby. Ooh, gotta be careful, Dad's blood's up. And there we go. What an exhilarating show it's been. Can you believe that was so absolutely incredible? We got to witness that, and so wonderful having you on a live African safari. The rain's coming in. The lions are probably going to get on the move. So we're going to let you look at them for the last few seconds of the drive. And there's the Thun with his clean beard today. And back to the incredible cats. So there we go, the Nkahuma Pride and one big Birmingham boy from the dominant male lion coalition have treated us completely and utterly spoilt us today. And of course you got to see African wild dogs with Jamie, and Steph showed you lots of fascinating things on foot. And James was James in the tent. But from all of us here at Safari Live, adieu.